in a different version, a different model, but the argument is the same. I think it's a key argument, and I think understanding it makes you understand better the debate about monetizing, not monetizing the debt, the pros and cons, and the risk, and the number of concerns, and the number of rules we have, okay? That are not so crazy, okay? It's exactly that. So when is it? Because remember that next to this, right, there is another budget constraint. It's the government balance sheet, right? Think about it. Here there is the treasury. The bonds for the treasury are, kids, you better get used to this balance sheet if you want to do monetary. Liability, yeah, debt, liability. Okay, so the bonds are here. And here there is what? There is, if that's all the bond that there is the net present value of taxes, right? Maybe there is also tradable capital, right? Maybe the government has own stuff that can be sold. All right, and here there is equities. That's a very solid government. That's a very solid treasury. Right? This is a treasury with a positive net worth. Right? If I make this go to 200 and spend the extra 100 in current consumption, so this doesn't change, that's important. See, Keynesians that talk about public spending should be thinking about this, not multipliers. The difference between productive public spending and unproductive is a real one. I may increase my bonds of 100 because, not on the stato patrimoniale, as they say in Italy, you know, not on the welfare, but on the conto economico. I take 100 and I spend it to, I don't know, make a couple of good bridges, pay some good researchers that invent Humpty Dumpty, and Humpty Dumpty makes the country more productive, build an airport where there is none, you know, clean up that shithole called Rome, you know, so the tourists can go, stuff like that, right? So if I use it wisely, this may increase GNP for real, and therefore increase the net present value of taxes, because these taxes are a certain percentage of GNP, future GNP, right? So I may increase that there, and this may go to 230, right? In that case, my equities remain unchanged. I'm fine. That's a very good fiscal policy. Nothing wrong with that, right? What goes in comes out, right? So it doesn't even need the multiplier. I'm happy with a multiplier of 1. The problem is a multiplier of 0.6. You put in 100, you get 60 out. Right? But maybe you didn't do that. Maybe this remains 130. Then your net worth becomes 50. And then when you make that go to 400, then your net worth becomes 250. What happens then? See, that's the problem. Because there you already have a problem. Now you're a country at risk. Right? Now you're Greece the day before the crisis. The markets, because that's exactly what happened in Greece. They woke up a moment and said, oh, by the way, you know, sorry, we're not so familiar with these Arab numbers. We made a few mistakes. Guess we got more debt. We told you guys for 15 years. Oh, sorry. You know, we don't speak English very well. And people said, oh, fuck, these guys have huge negative equities, right? That's exactly what happened. They're still trying in court, the head of the statistic office that said that, well, I think they've been cheating here all along. So what is it you can do here? Well, people say, wait a second. Right now, this is in the, think of this word, right? What happens here? If this has happened, it's because somewhere someone has bought those. And if they were not bought by the central bank, nor by the private bank, maybe they were bought by the families. Or maybe they were bought by the bank. What is it the bank did? They bought it directly. So they bought 300, right? Somebody must have financed them, right? The banks is just an intermediary. So either the bank increased capital, but given that the central bank did nothing, stayed out of the game, was neutral, right? This was a transaction that happened between the treasury and the private sector. So basically the treasury kind of bypassed the central bank in this operation, issued the debt on the market, as they do, right? Auctions. The commercial bank that are admitted to auction went there, bid for the debt, and they were using orders from their customer that said, hey, it's good. I trust the government, you know, buy that debt, what, you know, 10-year, 3%, that's good, all right? And now it says, well, I'll get you the cash, I'll move the cash into the bank. So basically, this went that, right? Correct? You want to understand Greece? Or also, you know, this is the situation. Now, you can see all kind of things can happen and all kind of things can go wrong or right. It depends on how people behave. We got 3 players. Now, this guy is in trouble. This guy here says, holy shit. Right? So let's do the first shock. The first shock is holy shit. The second shock is, my God, they got negative equities of 250. How much can we recover out of that? I don't know, maybe they can increase taxes a bit. All right? So, we only have down to 100. What did I do wrong? No, 100. 180, 120, 400, right? 300, 400. All right, so I have to mark to market. Right? If depositors don't move, what happened? Right? That's how financial crises work. I'm doing it in slow motion. Okay? These guys just says, oh fuck. They don't say holy shit anymore. They say something a lot more intense. They're like normal guys. They're at the bar. They just read, oh, Mario! Corri, che arriviamo prima! They run. Dammi il skate, dammi il skate, dammi il skate. Alright? Oh my God. How do you dammi il skate? No, I have 100. I cannot give you back 380. I can give you back 100. Right? And we got a problem. Right? We have what we call a bank run. Alright, so that's one scenario in which the central bank doesn't move. Okay? That's why central bank may be useful. Because maybe in that moment the central bank can say, hold it, how much do they want? Now I could teach you, and you should read, there is a version of this that doesn't go with what I wrote. It's called Diamond Debit. You know, look at the old Diamond Debit model, and they point out on another thing. In a situation like this is bad enough, but it could get worse. How could it get worse? Here, the bank had invested your deposit only on government bonds. Right? And had kept a part in reserves to face your cash withdrawal. What the bank could have done is in fact to invest those things in long-term projects. Could have lent your money not only to government, banks after all also lend to firms. Could have lent it to long-term projects that were productive and worthwhile, but needed time to complete. The bank was assuming that under normal circumstances you withdraw at most 100, and so the rest could stay invested and produce. If you go and suddenly run on the bank and claim your cash, the bank is forced to terminate those projects, which means to sell securities under duress. And when you do that, you lose capital value, and you actually destroy real wealth, because you force productive project to halt, because you can't finance them anymore. Okay? So that's Diamond-Dybvig little model, but it's a very simple way of understanding what it means to have a lender of last resort, and what it means to have liquidity crisis versus a solvency crisis. Okay? So you should take a look. It's a very simple model. It's almost done like this. Some formulas, but and makes you understand the role of a central bank in that case to provide cash. Okay? Now you see the central bank here can intervene. And how does it do it? It will go here and buy the bonds. That's how it creates money. Right? It goes here and buys the bonds. Right? So we go back, you know, when this happens, instead of having the panic, if the central bank acts real quickly, what is that we can get? It may prevent the run on the bank. Remind me, how was it? 380, 20?
Yeah.
And that reserves were 100, and bonds before the thing in the bank account were 300, right? In the nominal value, okay? Yes. Okay, so what the banks can do is say, I take care of it, I take care, don't worry, don't worry. Big open market operation. Miracle. See? Miracle. Nothing happened. Mario and Tony can keep drinking at the spritz at the bar. They don't have to run to the bank. They don't have to use the bazooka to smash the ATM. They don't even need the cash. They're fine. They're just fine. Now the shit is here. And now here, it depends, right? You see, it depends. Why it depends? Because now that's a lot, say. That's a lot. And if that's the lot, it means that in fact, from the point of view of marking to market, here we have a bit of an ambiguous situation. These bonds have a face value of 400, but we know they cannot be redeemed for 400. They can be redeemed only for 300. So this is becoming, at that point, the dynamics of what a fiscal policy is in a situation of crisis come into play. What is the government supposed to do? They have to either try to raise this or that, right? Because when bonds come to maturity, they don't have the resources to pay. Okay? Or they can ask the central bank to take care of that. By doing what? By doing this. That was Borghi's idea in the Italian version. How much was that they could not pay? I forgot. 100? What was the negative? I wrote, so this is 300, yeah, so there is bonds for 400, and so negative equity is minus 200, right? Here's what I can do. We have two branches of the government, right? Isn't that miraculous? We made all the problem disappear. No. We have transferred the negative equities from one branch of the government to the other. Okay? Okay? When people say monetize, that's what they mean. Now, obviously, it's all a matter of extent. To monetize $10 billion is not a big deal. To monetize 100, it's a little bit of a bigger deal. 500, that's a lot. 1,000, we're getting into dangerous territory. Okay? Why? Because now imagine this going. There's only one way in which this can keep going, which is this. So this government keeps screwing up. So eventually these bonds are worth 200, then 100, then 0. Okay? Alright? What is that I do? I monetize. Right? I keep doing it, eventually I get that, I monetize. I have $1 or €1 bonds, okay? Sorry, I should put it here. The government looks perfectly sound, okay? And everything is in the central bank, okay, which is negative equities, 799. Central banks cannot go broke, we're told. In fact, nobody even asked them. They have no shareholders. They can stay like that forever. In the debate, you can go study that, and let me see actually if you have a bit of perception. Little homework, you'll answer to me by email. There are 3 examples that are being used continuously of how central bank can operate with negative equities. Because they're actual episodes in recent decades. Paraguay, Czech Republic, Chile. You do me a favor, you go to the sites of the Banco Nacional de Paraguay, I think it's called, Banco de Chile, and Central Bank, or whatever it's called. Anyhow, you find the 3 central banks, you go look at their report, and look at their explanations of why they have negative equities. And they're very interesting. And let me give you a hint. All these 3 countries have one common characteristic. They're small countries, very open to trade, with local currency, with fairly volatile exchange rate with respect to dollars and euros, okay? And actually anchored Chile and Paraguay to the dollar base, the Czech Republic that wants to get to the euro, okay? And you will see that those exceptions are in fact exceptions, and they have a sense, and they can exist only for a few number of years, 7, 8, 5, with specific policy in place, and because they're special countries, in special circumstances. Some big guy actually, in some sense, taking care of them. And the reason they have negative equities is paradoxically because they did too well. And you'll figure out why. Okay? But here, what is the we have? Let's look at it from the point of view of the theory. Remember what I said before. From the point of view of the theory, my central bank has a gigantic amount of claims on current income and almost no claim on future income. It turned all the claims on future income into claims on current income. And it did so, and I think this is the part that needs to be modeled, and it's not easy to model. It did so as a reaction. The monetization is a reaction to what? To the fact that the government said, you know, we have no future income coming. Obviously, it's not proportional. You could have 7 fantasticillion here, and here 7 fantasticillion and 1. All right? But given the amount of bonds we have, the amount of future taxes we are able to extract is too little. So our claim on future income is empty. And people are realizing that. our promises to repay with future income is just not working. They don't believe it anymore. There's no growth, our taxation is too high, we cannot increase taxation further, blah, blah, blah. In fact, you see people are selling our bonds. They don't want to lend us anymore. So you have to buy it. You central bank. People are not accepting to lend. That's what it means. It means people do not believe your promises of future income. They may be wrong, you know, who knows, in markets people are often wrong. But it doesn't matter. The point is they don't believe it, it's your problem. You're the one that wants the money. Okay? And the monetization means, listen, given that people do not do not believe my promise of future income, give me promises of current income. I use that. Monetization. But now these people here have promises of current income in their pocket.